Osiris here with the Clash of Clans guide to the best farming defense for Town Hall level 5. And if you're not familiar with the concept of farming defense, it is where you're trying to protect your resources at the top priority, at the cost of trophies. So we keep our actual town hall on the outside, and the goal here is to have the enemies destroy all of our buildings on the outside without ever getting to our valuable resource collections on the inside. And in order to make this work, we've done a couple things. First, we have our three most important defensive towers. Our air defense, our mortar, and our wizard tower are all internal in this base structure. Your air defense will protect you from healers, which are available at Town Hall level 6, and you will face Town Hall level 6 players at Town Hall level 5. That's just the way it goes. And players one higher level of Town Hall can farm a decent amount of resources off you. So we try to keep our air defense protected in order to make it difficult for a player to, storm in with giants and a healer and not even have to think during this mission. So we keep this central, and the same goes for the mortar. The mortar is used to take out enemies that would like to attack with archers from the outside. The mortar can't cover everything, so there is some vulnerability down here from archers, but the wizard tower does have some overlap. But the way the base is set up is that we do kind of give this one resource node as a giveaway. This one will, in a very well coordinated attack, it's going to be difficult to protect all your resources. So we do have this one that's kind of a gimme. If someone has a bad attack, they still won't get this, but archers can hit this, and that is somewhat intentional. And the reason for that is it's better to give away one resource than lose all. So what you want to do is when you look at your resource count, if it's something like mine, you want to keep your two collectors of the resource you have more of, in this case it's gold, on the inside, and put whatever you have the least of on the outside. So that way you stand to lose the least. And if I ever had more elixir than gold, I could always swap these two. So the next thing, I've kind of buffered my important towers and my storage structures with the archer tower and cannon combo. I like to keep an archer tower with each cannon. It just prevents you from taking damage from balloons. So we have pretty good air defense on all sides, and the most vulnerable areas of attack are reinforced in one of a couple ways. For here we have the Town Hall and Clan Castle, two high HP buildings, just blocking these corners. Makes it difficult for enemies to get in. And in our two most vulnerable points, we've got the walls actually recessed a little bit. I put a joint here to prevent this wall from being targeted by wall breakers. That will give players access to both the gold point here as well as these two towers. So we don't want to make that difficult for players to hit, so we kind of hide that joint a little bit. And the same goes for this joint here. This whole structure is shifted a bit so that players can't get access to more than two resource nodes by breaking down one wall, and that's this wall here. If players want to get to either this node or this node, they have to break down a wall each time. So players have to break down a lot of walls in order to clear this entire base, and that's sort of the goal here. The same thing with resource points. You never want to put all your storage units behind the same wall. It just makes it way too easy to make a focused attack and then flood in with goblins. So now that we've sort of discussed the aspects of this base, I also wanted to point out that this is probably the most vulnerable wall here that we don't want players to get into. So I put two bombs here, and this actually goes off a surprising amount from goblins, and I'll show you that in some of the replays. So we actually have three defenses that worked out pretty well, and I'll go ahead and show you those here. This is probably the most coordinated attack from a Town Hall 5 player. They did have a level 4 lightning spell, but you'll see I was able to keep most of my resources. So what they first do is they flood in with goblins, and upgraded towers do a pretty good job at destroying these, and they use the giant to distract, but the giant won't last forever. And the way my base is set up is that this mortar can't reach this wall, and that's to prevent a distracting giant like we just saw he tried to use, and that made my mortar focus on the goblins. And if you just saw, those goblins all converged and got blown up by those bombs, so that actually worked very well. So this guy's just going to flood in with a ton of goblins. And the wizard tower here is in range of all of these collectors, so it's very effective at taking out goblins that are clumped up and killing resource points. And that was the last goblin. So he was able to get a good amount of my loot, but most of it stayed. And he did proc my shield. So I was able to get through that and get a shield without too much damage. And most of those resources were actually because I hadn't emptied my collectors in a while. You know, he took out this collector here and partially damaged this one. And I had mostly gold, so these two remained safe. So here's one that went a little bit better for me. This is actually right after this guy attacked. I actually went on a few raids, so my shield did drop. So this guy uses a ton of giants, and I put those two spring traps there on purpose. I did, they actually sprung a bunch of wall breakers there. But the reason I did that is because this is clearly a player's biggest area of interest. And I didn't want to the reason this extra wall here is in the first place is that I didn't want to make a joint where players could break into both of these at once. So that's just how it ended. I've staggered that a little bit. Okay, so we'll let this is almost over. He actually got that with archers, but he actually wasn't able to take most of my resources, so almost all my gold remained. And these two are the best protected nodes. So again, whatever you have the most of, you put there. And we'll do our final video. As you can see, I was away for a day or two from this base and got attacked a couple times, but this is a pretty standard attack. He just doesn't really get anywhere because barbarians are not good at attacking the space. They'll want to roam around the outside. He does get in that blind spot there and takes out that elixir, but again, that's we're going to throw away this unit to protect the base. And this video eventually runs out. He has this one archer left, and actually doesn't kill the town hall in the end. But he does proc my shields because he already done 59%. So that's really it for the farming defense for Town Hall 5. Hope you found this video helpful. And just keep that in mind when you're designing your bases. It's good to let one storage unit be a sacrifice in order to protect most of what you have. And at this level, we're still keeping our clan castle on the outside just because we don't have enough stuff yet to prevent it. Because this clan castle has a huge radius. A good player is just going to draw off your units by dropping an archer or a barbarian on the outside. So it makes no point. There's no point in putting it in the center just yet. We should wait until we get a little bit higher of a town hall level. So if this video is helpful for you, and go ahead and subscribe for more Clash of Clans videos.